The Mobile County Public School System presents Homeroom with Nancy Pierce.
Hello and welcome to Homeroom. I'm Nancy Pierce, Public Relations Supervisor for the Mobile County Public School System. It is a great day in the Mobile County Public School System today and every day, and I have two very special guests with me today to talk about a subject that's very important to all of us, and we're really proud about the strides we've made. I'm talking about graduation rate, and here to talk about it is Superintendent Martha Peak and also Dr. Susan Smith, who is the Executive Director of Accountability. Good to have you here.
It's nice to be here.
Yeah, well, I love you're bright, you're red, we're kind of look together. I know. Did we do this last night? Was somebody email each other? I didn't get the email, but we're really
Great minds think alike.
Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
I think so. We are so excited about the graduation rate. You know, of course, we'd like it 100%. But it has gone up considerably. Just a few years it was in the 50s, and all of a sudden we've got it to 75. So let's talk about that. First of all, how do you feel about that, Ms. Peak?
Well, I think it's great that we've moved forward. We've set our goal and we're making a lot of progress. When you see a district our size gain another 5% with the graduation rate, it's just a testament to the hard work that's taking place out in the schools. In the classrooms, it's the students, the teachers, and the principals all working together to make that happen. So very proud of it.
And so last year we were at 70%.
Yes.
But we did make great gains, right before that, and we're so happy about that. We've talked about having 80% by 2020. To make the gains that we've already made, how will we get to that point?
Well, we're at a point now where we have a true graduation rate, that it's increased from steadily over the years, from 64% to 70% to 75%. So now we know that the term we'll have to use is we're going to have to work with precision, that we're going to have to know each step that a student must take in order to be successful. We're going to have to provide all the support we can for those students in order for them to finish all of the requirements to graduate. And you know, we're not only talking about graduating, but we're talking about graduating ready for college or ready to enter the workforce. So there's a lot of different facets, but it really takes on the true meaning of what we say in Mobile, the 6 R's. Reading and writing and arithmetic, the core content areas, the rigor that our students are meeting high standards, and we're helping them do that. That we're also helping our students see the relevance, why you need a high school diploma. You've got to know why you're working that hard, where you're going with it. And that we build the relationships between the teachers, the administrators, the central office personnel to support and help those students reach those goals.
And we continue to get better and better and better with that, which is wonderful. Dr. Smith, the graduation rate has not always been figured the way we figure it now. What was the big change?
Well, what the graduation rate is based on now is what we call a cohort group, the group of students who enter into 9th grade on time. So for last year's rate, we were talking about students who entered 9th grade in the year 2009. And then what we're looking for is those students graduating on time within a 4-year period. So that's how the graduation rate is calculated.
It's changed though from before, which hasn't it changed from before, which kind of caused everybody a little problem to understand it, that it just didn't make a whole lot of sense.
There was a formula before, and I'm not sure any of us ever understood quite what that formula was, but it was figured on a formula basis, and at that time we were getting higher graduation rates, but it wasn't necessarily on time either. So when a student enters 9th grade, that begins the march to graduation. And in Mobile, you don't graduate until you walk across the stage. You don't graduate in kindergarten, 5th grade, or 8th grade. It's when you complete those requirements in 12th grade.
So what are we doing? And either one of you could address this. What are we doing? You talked about the 6 R's. What else are we doing? How are we helping the students? Either one of you, Dr. Smith?
I think there's a great deal of work going on. Like Ms. Peak said, the relationship building is a huge part. Our high schools are working so hard, and it's been a pleasure to work with them and see the efforts that they're putting forth in really connecting with students and helping to make sure that they're staying on track and meeting their goals and being successful as they prepare for graduation. So I think that's a huge piece.
One of the things too, we start in pre-K, and our schools work from elementary to middle to high together to reach those goals. Our high schools can only be as strong as our elementary and middle school programs that feed into them. So there's a concerted effort from pre-K through 12 to set goals, to have programs in place and standards in place that everyone is striving to meet. So that provides a lot of strength. There are a lot of intervention programs along the way. When we look at high school, particularly, we have a credit recovery that's in place where students, if they've failed a class, they don't have to go through complete, they can go into credit recovery.
And explain that, please.
Well, credit recovery is a technology-based program.
Perfect for our kids nowadays, our students nowadays. That's
Right.
what it's all about, is technology.
Right, and after they have earned all of the time by being in the class one time, generally you don't need to repeat the entire course. There's just specific standards that you need to master within that course. So you can go into credit recovery and recover that credit. You only have to go through the portions that were difficult for you and you did not master. So credit recovery is one of those options. Another option we have, fifth block, or we call it a fifth block. It's a short block during the high school day.
I've heard a lot of different names for that. The mini block,
Right.
the skinny block.
Skinny block,
all
whatever.
sorts of things.
But it's a short block where there can be intervention. There can also be pre-teaching, and there can also be preparation for AP exams, for ACT test, and that type of thing. So to build in success there. There's twilight program where students can go at night. They may have had a little bit of a discipline problem, been suspended from school. We don't want them to stop learning, so
Right.
they can go to school at night in each one of the high schools. Middle schools have the same types of programs. The intervention programs that take place during the day where students receive the first instruction in the classroom and then they're retaught in various ways within the school. And in elementary school, sometimes you hear people talking about a dip. And that doesn't mean a dip in a pool. That means that
Or an
they've
ice
had
cream
the original instruction in the classroom, and then the students go to another setting to be retaught. Someone may come into the classroom and provide additional instruction there. The teacher may pull a small group. So sometimes there may be 2 or 3 opportunities to learn that skill. So all along the way, our belief is when students are provided the opportunity to have first instruction and then additional instruction, they make progress and move forward. The thing about graduation rate, you have to reduce failure, because failure is where you then move into that cycle of not being successful in school. And if you're not successful, you don't want to stay somewhere. So reducing failure, providing students the opportunity to learn.
We need to take a quick break, but sit tight and we will be back in just a minute. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
I'm Ashley Rich, Mobile County District Attorney. The failure to obey school bus safety laws will cost you. It can cost you up to a $3,000 fine and the loss of your driving privileges.
But more than that, it could cost the life of a child. That's why the Mobile County Public School System is urging you to stop and obey all bus traffic laws. Hi, I'm Pat Mitchell, Director of Transportation for the Mobile County Public School System. We're asking you to obey all bus safety laws. It could save a life. Remember, stop ahead when you see red. Our future depends on it.
For me, it started back in 1942 when my family moved to Mobile, and I began my high school career at Murphy High School. Today, it's so important to be able to ingrain in yourself what are you going to do in future life, and you need to be prepared. And so subsequently, everything at Murphy was very important in my life, and so it was instrumental in preparing me for future life and future profession that I wanted to be in.
hand?
No thanks, Dad. I got it.
Okay. I'm gonna go fix the lamp in your room.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of children in foster care who will take you just as you are.
And welcome back to Homeroom. We're talking graduation rate and a few other things too with Superintendent Martha Peak and also Dr. Susan Smith, who's with Accountability. Good to have you back. And now that we're through with our ads and everything, we can talk about graduation rate again. People think that we have 75% graduation rate, so we have 25% dropout rate. Is that true?
No, that's not true.
You would think if you take 100 minus 75, you get 25, but that's not the way it works.
Right, right. There's some other calculations involved in that. For instance, a good portion of that, 9%, represents the number of students or the percent of students who were in that 9th grade cohort that are actually still enrolled in high school. So 9% are still working toward graduation. Some graduated, for instance, at the end of first semester in December. Some are still working and will be fifth-year graduates. So the graduation rate again represents the percent of students who graduated on time within 4 years.
Sure.
But we still have students working toward finishing and graduating.
That is so important because I know I've had people say to me, 75%, then you have 25 that dropped out. So what are you going to do about those people? And so that's really interesting that we have those students that are still working and still going to graduate, but it won't be in 4 years. And that's fine. I mean, we want them to graduate in 4 years, ready for a career or college. But if they're not ready, if they still need credits, well, go ahead and finish. Don't drop out.
You can actually remain enrolled in a public school until you're 21 years of age. And we encourage everybody to keep working, get that diploma, and move on to the next stage of life to be successful. One of the big things about keeping up with the graduation rate too is accounting for every student. And that means every student that enrolls in a high school in 9th grade must be accounted for 4 years later. So our schools do a tremendous amount of bookwork, if you would, tracking where students are, where they've moved. We have a very mobile population. So one thing everybody can help do is when a student moves, when they move, whether it's from one school to the other or in another county or out of state or even some internationally, that we are left with an address that we know where that student's moved and that we can be alerted that we're going to get a records request so we'll know where those students are. And that's a tremendous amount of work. Our registrars and our counselors and other critical people in the school have that task, and they have done just a phenomenal job of tracking everybody. It's sometimes very much like an anthill moving, but we keep up with it.
Well, I know, Dr. Smith, you did a lot of work with that. Your title is Executive Director of Accountability, which covers so many things, but you really worked hard to make sure that we knew where those students were. How did you go about that? And I know that you're making it better each year.
Well, one of the biggest challenges, as Ms. Peak just referenced, was helping our schools as they're trying to keep track of students who are so mobile. The cohort actually consists of students who exit 8th grade and are projected to enter a high school as a 9th grader. So we try to do some work and facilitate. There's a team actually that works on this to help schools find the group of students that they're responsible for. You may find yourself responsible for a student that actually never enrolled in your campus. Never attended class, so we do some work in trying to help locate that student and make sure we're in the right place and providing the right documentation. So,
and for those children who do drop out, and we're getting fewer and fewer, what's next for them?
Well, there's not a very positive future out there for them. There literally are very few, if any, jobs that are available. A high school diploma is your key to jobs any job that you go into, the first thing you're going to be asked is if you're a high school graduate. There's always the GED program that students can enroll in. That's with our partner Bishop State. We don't have that program in the Mobile County Public Schools, but you can always earn that equivalent of a diploma. It's not quite like having a diploma, though, in hand. So we really stress, stay in school. Let us work with you. Let us find that avenue for you to graduate. Of course, if you drop out, lower income, lower ability to provide for yourself, or if you have a family in the future. It's not to say it can't happen, but it's just much more difficult. Even when you finish high school, there's also a demand for more training, whether it's when you're in school earning college equivalent credits, which we call dual enrollment, or if it's in our career technical education program where you're earning workforce certification. So it's a very demanding world. It's based on your success in school and getting that diploma. So we can't stress enough, stay in school, let us work with you, be a viable partner in that, work hard, be there and want to do it, and we'll help you earn that diploma.
Well, and aside from the academics, which of course are number one, you have other reasons to go to high school and stay there. You know, that's can be such a great time in your life. School in general, starting with pre-K, as far as socialization, as far as meeting people that you never met before from another country. We have so many students that speak different languages. It's amazing.
60 different languages.
60
now.
different languages. I mean, that is truly amazing. And to meet the children that speak those languages, that's wonderful. That's an education in itself. But now, Signature Academies, we started that, and that seems to be a real key for keeping kids in. That's to not have them drop out, because you had talked about the relevance, and that is so important. You don't want to learn anything unless it's going to mean something to you. So Signature Academies really are helping us with that.
Well, you define your interest, and that interest also motivates you into work and to prepare for the field that you think you want to go into. Then it's very difficult sometimes when you're a teenager to decide really what you want to do. This gives you an opportunity to explore those fields that you think you may want to get into, and you can truly prepare there. Or you can find out, this really wasn't what I thought it was. I need to find another career path that will be more successful for me, that I fit better in.
And so many students really have no idea. We have some students that probably when they were in pre-K, they knew what they wanted to do. And then there were some of us who changed our minds. I believe we talked about you were always wanted to be a teacher. What about you, Dr. Smith?
No.
Go ahead and confess.
I'm confessing.
Okay.
I did not enter into education to begin with in college.
What was your, go ahead, tell me.
Accounting.
Accounting.
Yes.
A lot of math, a lot of figures, a lot of, I was in theater.
Yeah. I was a junior in college when I changed my major.
What made you, what was the decision maker for you on that?
I don't know. You know, truthfully, looking back on it, I think just taking some career prep classes in college and doing some interest inventories and realizing that, you know, that education was a good fit for me.
She found the best of both worlds. I mean, she's working in accountability with all of our system data.
Right.
So that love of numbers, mathematics, statistics, I mean, that's what she has her doctorate in. And so she's found the best of both worlds, but also being very attuned to educational practices and interacting with people. So I can speak about her strengths. So I think
I'm
she
glad
found
you
it,
did, because I think she was being a little shy.
and I think she found it all in education.
Yeah.
I think she
Never
did.
thought about it like that.
I think you did. Well, and we need to take another quick break. We'll be right back. So you sit tight, and you sit tight, and we'll see you in just a minute.
I transferred to Viger High School halfway through my sophomore year, and the curriculum there, the instructors, teachers, the whole thing was just a shock to me. At Viger, you were encouraged to critically think, and so I was just well grounded to move on into college football and then on into the NFL. Well, for me, Viger High School was the start. It's where I started, and I'm very proud of that.
Nationwide, an average of 24 children die each year.
And another 17,000 are injured in bus-related accidents.
Many of these can be prevented. The safety of our children comes first.
For the safety of our future, obey all traffic laws related to school bus safety.
Hi, I'm Pat Mitchell, Director of Transportation for the Mobile County Public School System. We're asking you to obey all bus safety laws. It could save a life. Remember, stop ahead when you see red. Our future depends on it.
So I've come up with the family emergency plan.
Great. What is it?
It's difficult to talk about, so I'm not telling you.
How will we know what to do?
You won't.
I'm so glad I won't have to remember anything.
And me too. Thanks for this, sweetie.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Welcome back. We're talking graduation rate and some other things, and dropout rate, and what we are doing to make sure that children stay in school. I have two very special people in the Mobile County Public School System, Martha Peak, the superintendent, and Dr. Susan Smith, who deals with accountability. And we were talking about how you're dealing with numbers, and you were going to be an accountant, so it all kind of just fits perfectly, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, it's a perfect match in accountability, research, and grant writing. The right person.
Well, and I think when we talk about relevance, I think about things that I did in high school, college, and I thought, why am I doing this? What difference is it going to make to me? And that does make sense. I mean, students really need to know that this is going to matter to them later.
Well,
now.
And we're trying to help our students define that. We give a couple of assessments, explore and plan, that indicate where your aptitudes lie as well as your interest. Also, by the end of 9th grade, all of our students now are required to have a plan of study, to have been with teachers and counselors to sit down, map out what they think their plan of their interest will be and what that's going to take to get there. They have to have that completed by the end of their freshman year, or they don't move to 10th grade.
10th grade.
They
and
are
that
not.
Follows them, doesn't it?
That's
it goes
right.
with them the rest of the time. They're
It
with
follows
us.
them, and it's their map of not only the relevance of what they're doing, but it's a map of where the roadmap of where they've got to go to get to their goal. So plan of study has to be in place by the end of 9th grade for students to be classified as sophomores. And that's important for everyone to remember. Counselors are working on that. 9th graders need to know about that. With the Signature Academies, then it gives you an opportunity to go ahead and really explore that field you think that you will be interested in and get some hands-on experiences, job shadowing experiences, hopefully internships that will come out of that, so you really know what you're working toward. One of the things that happens to students today that's of great concern to me, if you decide you want to go to college, a 2 or 4 year college, you can go in your freshman, sophomore year and sort of wander aimlessly. But while you're doing that, the tuition costs are mounting greatly.
Oh, definitely.
So if you have that focus and you know what you want to do, you can go in and be on target to meet your goals.
You know, I don't know if I should ask this, but I'm going to, and you don't have to answer. But so this year, 75% graduation. What is the next goal?
Well, you know, the benchmark is 80%. And what we've started saying is that that's our minimum goal is 80%. My goal is 100%.
Dr. Smith?
I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Smith for her to tell us when we're going to get there.
When are we going to get there?
Well, I think we're well on our way. Again, going back, beginning at the elementary level and the work that's being done, helping students to transition successfully to the middle and then to the high, I think we're well on our way to that 100%. Got a lot of work going on now at our high schools, making sure our seniors are finishing the coursework that's needed, that they're preparing and fulfilling all of their requirements. So, you know, I think we're in great shape to continue toward our progress and definitely move that number up.
And the grad exam?
is not administered in Mobile County
It's gone.
anymore.
And I think a lot of people are happy with that.
Well, the thing though we need to really stress though, the rigor that's in the curriculum is much more rigorous than what the grad exam is. So we haven't moved backward. We're indeed moving forward with that. So, you know, that's very important to keep in mind. That rigor is there, and so the grad exam had served its purpose, but it's time for us to move on to those higher goals. I'll answer too that in the state of Alabama, Dr. Bice with Plan 2020, the goal is 90% by 2020. So I think that our next benchmark will be 80%. Of course, there's part of me that says this year we're going to strive for 85. And
that does not surprise me.
We'll work on 85, and then we'll see. I'm sure we'll make 80 this year.
Well, good. Now, before I want to talk briefly about our winter storm that we had, and all those decisions. Before we do, is there anything that either one of you would like to add about graduation, about accountability? Either one, or you think we covered it pretty well?
I think if you're a senior, check with your counselor, check your grades, make sure you're on track, make sure you have what you need. Go ahead and prepare now while there's time to make sure you're on track, and can graduate with your class.
Good advice.
In May.
Really good advice. We have a couple minutes left. We recently had a storm that I believe we dodged a pretty big bullet, and Birmingham and Atlanta were hit hard, but we still had all that ice. We have a lot of buses. Mrs. Peak, how did you go about making that decision to close school Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday?
The hardest call, or one of the hardest calls I think you make as superintendent, is about closing schools, because in a system that's this large, it affects a lot of families and a lot of routines, but you always want to look at safety first. And so what I do is, of course, we stay in close touch with the emergency management EMA here in Mobile. We very fortunate, they work closely with us. They provide consistent updates, so we get very, very accurate information.
It was incredible how accurate it was.
And we listen to them. Then my entire staff comes together. You were there, Dr. Smith was there, the whole leadership team was there, and we discuss all aspects: transportation, cafeteria services, what the facilities are, the shape the facilities are in, heat, and that kind of thing. And so you take all of those factors into consideration, and first and foremost, you decide based on the most accurate information that you have at that time what to do about school. Certainly, my thoughts were with those school districts in North Alabama. I'm not sure what the situation was, but knowing the superintendents, I'm sure they just did not have as accurate as information to act on as we did here. So we were very fortunate. Our students were safe, and it was really good that we were closed.
Definitely.
And everybody was home safe and warm with their own families.
And it was a tough decision, but it was a decision that had so much thought put into it, because you don't want to just say, okay, let's close school and have the sun out and nothing happening. So we are out of time. I don't think we'll have to deal with snow again or ice this year.
I hope not.
I do too. And we still have an hour of snow that I want. But anyways, thank you so much for joining me. This has been delightful, and a lot of people really need to know about all these things we talked about. So if you want to come back, please come back. Okay?
Call us, we'll be here.
All right. Thank you for watching.